Zack Snyder's Justice League is a 4-hour movie directed by Zack Snyder and stars well lots of people. I have to read this list because I wouldn't be able to give it to you any other way. Ben Affleck, Henry Cavill, Amy Adams, Gal Gadot, Ray Fisher, Jason Momoa, Ezra Miller, William Dafoe, Jesse Eisenberg, Jeremy Irons, Diane Lane, Connie Nielsen, J.K. Simmons. I think it's even missing like Emily. I think Emily Blunt is in this. I think Emily Blunt might actually be one of the biggest names that I could have read on this list, and she's like 4 scenes. Was Jared Leto on there? Jared Leto is in this. There's like every celebrity in this 4-hour movie. Like every celebrity. Sorry, I have to get back to the description of the movie. So the movie is about some traditional superheroes like Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, Aquaman, like the good ones. They all come together and they fight some aliens from space. Now, if you've seen the Avengers, it's pretty much the same thing. Okay, so I just want to start off the likes by just saying I like Zack Snyder. Like when I did the research on the movie, I realized that he directed 300, and that movie is a timeless movie to me. So I feel bad if I say things I don't like about this movie because I just love 300 so much. So I do like Zack Snyder. He made a very entertaining movie for 4 hours. The fact it was 4 hours long, this wasn't a boring movie. I like the historic backstories. I think that was really cool. They did like kind of a backstory as to how the aliens attacked Earth thousands of years ago and kind of the united forces. Very Lord of the Rings style with man, orc, elf. They kind of have that with like Wonder Woman, Aquaman, and how they took on this force thousands of years ago. I actually would love to see that as its own movie. I also like how there was a bit of blood in this movie. It wasn't like a family, because it feels like a family blockbuster, but there's a bit of gore. Well, not gore, but there's blood. People die and stuff. Like, I mean, this happens in war where people have spears and are fighting and throwing each other into walls and carrying them really fast up into space and then doing some kind of like body slam at the speed of light. People bleed. Okay, so dislikes. It doesn't need to be 4 hours long. This doesn't need to be 4 hours long. There are so many movies that deserve to be 4 hours long and don't. And this is the move to streaming. Because this is moved to streaming, you don't need to worry about the revenue model of the cinemas where people view a movie for 2 hours and you have higher turnover of people watching the movie. If a movie's 4 hours but people still pay $15 to see it, that cinema gets less revenue. So the concept of a 2-hour movie is a revenue thing. 2 major dislikes for me. The first one is CGI. This is like the Star Wars prequels level CGI with like young Anakin Skywalker. There is so much CGI in this, and I get it, there's a pandemic. And with all these like celebrities, I still think you should just cut back on the amount of celebrities and just try and have better special effects. But there are literally like half an hour or longer scenes where there's probably been no acting. It's just fighting scenes where everything's CGI. And if you think about Christopher Nolan's awesome Batman movies and how he used real life props and real life effects, like actors doing special stunts and stuff like that, like this is just like full fights, everything CGI. You're like out of a video game. And for me, it's a bit disappointing to get to the stage where everything is CGI. To have awesome old movies like Terminator and Jurassic Park and even more modern Batman movies by Christopher Nolan that have such great real life special effects, and then to just take it to this full on CGI world that we're living in, it's kind of disappointing. I remember as a kid going, man, special effects are getting so real that when you're playing video games and they've got the little interlude movies between the levels, it's going to feel like watching the movies. But I think movies have regressed and it feels like we're watching the interlude movies from video games. It's genuinely my feeling during this movie. My other major dislike is Batman and Superman specifically have had so many good movies or TV shows related to them that we just can't keep using these characters in what I think are mediocre movies. Christopher Nolan clocked Batman, in my opinion. I don't think it can be better. But for me personally, Batman ran its course. He's kind of useless in the Justice League too, other than being rich. Superman was great in the 80s. I didn't mind his most recent movies. I thought the concept of Batman versus Superman, where Batman's old, was kind of cool. But in this movie, it's Superman, like, to use that character, like, do something awesome. There's been so much great content about these superheroes. It just feels to me like we're butchering them to me. Like, I want Superman to be remembered for Christopher Reeve right now because nothing that's followed that has hit the mark. I don't have too many favorite scenes. There's a lot of action. They all feel like the same. Lots of CGI, too many characters. I like a scene where Henry Cavill and Ben Affleck are talking, and technically that's like Clark Kent and Bruce Wayne or Batman and Superman. But to me, I kind of just saw Ben Affleck chatting with Henry Cavill, and I was like, man, I'd love to get a beer with those guys. I like the historic scenes where it's like showing like the Wonder Woman people with the alien creatures fighting alongside the Aquaman and stuff. So it's an entertaining 4 hours. I think it was a missed opportunity to be a mini series. I think there's too much CGI. The actors put in a pretty good performance. Like, I can't really critique any of them for being terrible actors. I think this was a movie worth watching. Entertaining blockbuster. One for the ages? No. One that's going to be forgettable? Yes. One that is not going to age well with all its CGI? Correct. I give the 4 hour Zack Snyder Justice League big fat C. Enjoy. Maybe watch it over a couple of nights. The C movie.